What is up, YouTube? We are back with another video. This week's video, I am going to be cutting my fabric for my small shrub pockets, and then I'll be jumping inside on the computer and then doing a diagram of exactly how the shrubs are going to lay out, size fabric, number of staples, and then the size cages in the post so that you guys know exactly all the material I'm using. And I will be cutting today probably 10 or 12 for the shrub pockets out of the fabric. So I have a 6 foot by 500 foot roll of fabric. It is our woven fabric. It's very durable, holds up to the sunlight, and does not biodegrade like other plastics or other fabric material. And so I have a quick little setup here. I'll kind of just discuss exactly what I'm doing here that you guys could set up in your guys' shop, in your guys' work areas, to really just quickly hammer out the small little project of cutting your fabric. Because if you guys can cut your fabric now, if you guys did your burning for your small shrub pockets like I did, and I'm going to have a video probably the next time explaining how I burned it, showing some video on what I did, and then you guys can go in and lay the fabric down now. And then once it's laid down, then all you have to do is wait for the cuttings to arrive after your last project. We'll ship them out to you. And then all you have to do is get them in the ground, place the cage down, tamp the T-post in the ground, staple that down, and you're good to go. So I'm going to be cutting 10 to 12 of those little pockets right now. And then I'll wrap up inside the office on the computer. So like I said, I'm going to talk about directly what I'm going to be doing here real quick. So I just have 2 pieces of conduit with my 6 foot wide ground fabric. I measured it out, and then I quickly made a mark here at 6 foot. So I'll be able to read that and then slice it with my Milwaukee scissors here. They work really well at cutting the fabric. You can also use a utility knife. The fabric does cut very nice straight edges. And then of course, I just have the 2 ladders just holding up the fabric for me to just have it roll it out. So it's very easy to roll out and then cut, and then just stack them up and then move on to the next one until I have about 12 pockets ready to rock for fabric wise. So it's going to be a very quick little project here, but it's just another small little task that I want to get done before spring arrives and the cuttings start getting shipped out and everything kind of gets hectic. So I want to get this done, my burning done, lay the fabric down so I'm all ready to rock by the time spring arrives and the cuttings need to be in the ground. So like I said, I'm going to wheel each piece of fabric out to the end here of my piece of sheeting, lift it up, cut it at the 6 foot mark, then rinse and repeat. Just keep doing that till I have 12 of these cut and ready to rock. So I'm just gonna roll it out here. And then I'm just going to keep doing that for the next, 11 sheets of fabric to cut. Alrighty, so that wraps it up. I just quickly zip tied the fabric together just to kind of hold it. I'll be storing it here in the shop until it's ready to go outside and get planted. But like I said, this is 6 foot wide ground fabric, and I cut it into 6 foot long chunks. I did 12 of them because on a 100 foot galvanized roll of fencing, you can cut 6 even shrub pockets out of that fencing because it's going to be about 15 feet long for the fencing to make it about a 5 foot diameter shrub pocket. So that's why I wanted to go with 6 foot wide ground fabric. So if you guys order, 6 foot by 300 and you only do, 110 foot line of shrubs, then you'll have plenty left over to be able to use for other smaller projects like this. So that's why the fabric is so versatile and it's able to hold up. So even if you stored it this year, if you did your lines this year and the next year you did your shrub pockets or vice versa, It's going to easily be able to just store it in your garage, in your guys' shop. And then for the next couple of years, you guys can continue to use it for other projects around your guys' hunting properties or residential areas. And so now I'm just going to jump inside the office here and quickly draw up a diagram of exactly how I'm going to lay out each shrub pocket in our swampy areas so that you guys can get a visual on exactly how it's going to look for these small little shrub pockets. I am back in the office here on the computer, and I just want to show a diagram of an example on how the shrub pocket is going to look in the different areas that I want to plant some shrubs. So this is just a quick example. So the outline of this paper here would be a 6 foot by 6 foot wide, just like how I cut here. And then the green is going to be my 5 foot diameter small cage to surround my 4 shrubs. So this is going to be roughly in the perimeter just over 15 feet of total fencing per pocket. And then I'll be able to fit 4 shrubs in each pocket. And I want to keep them the same variety of shrubs because I just want to create clumps here and there. A lot of times you're going to see red osier in little clumps because the birds are eating the seed and then leaving some behind, dropping some, or they might be self-propagating from the root system and spreading naturally that way. So I want to create a natural look with the red osier dogwood, the dappled willow, and the silky dogwood. So that's why I'm going to be keeping them the same variety in each pocket, and then I'll jump from each pocket to change up their varieties. So in one pocket I might have 4 dappled willow, and then maybe 15-20 feet away I'll have a red osier dogwood pocket, and then 15-20 feet away again I'll have a silky dogwood pocket. And then I might throw 2 trees in certain areas and in pockets just to add some height, because right now I'm surrounding the area of these swamps by silky willows to create my screening. And then within that screen, I have natural grasses growing up alongside with these pockets that I'm going to be installing. So hopefully next week I'll be able to jump outside since it's going to warm up. And then hopefully it dries out just a little bit where I can then burn the rest of the grass, lay my fabric down to get prepped and ready to rock for planting season, because planting season is coming very quickly. We are going to be starting our first major shipping on April 22nd, and then the 29th is another major shipping, and then May 13th for our northern zones, which would be Zone 4 and Zone 3. So we are super excited. I know there's a lot of customers that are super excited to receive their cuttings soon, and so we are really looking forward to this planting season, really hoping for a lot better moisture and rain from Mother Nature. But if you do happen to go through another dry spell like it was last year, give these guys some water, especially right after planting. If during planting, if you had some sort of water that you could get on these guys, and then maybe a week or 2 after, give them some water, and then, once every 2 weeks, give them some water, especially if you're not receiving any rainfall. That's crucial to get them started in budding out, because if they don't receive any moisture, rain, the ground is super dry, and it's 85-90 degrees, those cuttings are going to dry out very quickly to where you might come back in 2 to 3 months and then think that you should water them. By that time, they're probably dead. So if you can jump on it early, start watering them sooner rather than later, and then get them budding out and established, that's really going to boost success, especially once you're using the ground fabric, because it retains moisture. You are going to protect them from the deer via the cage, and then you're also suppressing the weed competition in the local area. So if you can go alongside the fabric and the fence and the cage once a month to just weed whack to keep the weed pressure down and to allow maximum sunlight to these cuttings, that's going to boost success rates drastically, and growth rates as well. You're going to see a lot better growth, higher success, and just an overall healthier shrub. So if you guys do those major things, you're going to see very great high success in the first year of planting. And so if you guys have any questions, I'm going to wrap up the video here. But like I said, 4 shrubs per pocket, keeping them the same variety, using 15-foot cage to make a 5-foot diameter wide cage, using 6 foot by 6 foot ground fabric and stapling them down. And one thing I do quickly want to mention is the stapling. I'm going to be stapling 3 to 4 staples along each edge. and then maybe 2 or 3 in the middle to keep the fabric from blowing up. That is a really big and crucial step, is to actually keep the fabric laid flat so the cuttings don't have any wafting, because a lot of times we'll see if the hole you create for the cutting is too small and the fabric is constantly wafting on that cutting, it could potentially burn it and then kill it. So if you make a 2-inch by 2-inch or 3-inch by 3-inch X mark and then plant the cutting, that'll eliminate that, and also laying the fabric down flat and tight. So if you guys have any other questions, I'm going to wrap up the video, but just reach out to us, and then hopefully next week's video I'll be able to show you guys exactly how it's going to look, because I'm going to be able to lay down the fabric, make some X marks, staple it down, and then maybe even set up a mock cage just to give you guys an idea before you guys are going to be planting farther south of us, because right now we're going to be planting up here in west central Wisconsin May 13th that week. So of course we are going to be behind people in Iowa, Missouri, in some of those zone 5, zone 6 areas. So I want to just show you this diagram of how we're going to do small shrub pockets, and then hopefully in next week's video I'll be able to show you guys exactly how it's going to all laid out. So that wraps up this week's video. Just a real short description on exactly how I'm going to do the small shrub pockets, and then also just showing you how I set up to cut my fabric. Very easy. It took me under 5 minutes to set up, 5 minutes to cut it, 5 minutes to tear down. So 15 minutes I was able to cut up my rolls of fabric. Now you could just lay it on the ground, roll it out, cut it up, but you want to have at least 6 foot of fabric. If you're a little bit longer, that's totally fine. If you're under, now you're a little bit shorter than that 6 feet, and now you're creating that 5-foot cage. So I would rather be a little bit wider so that I'm able to weed whack and mow alongside the fabric, so that it keeps down the weed competition from those shrubs. The first 2 years is very crucial for water, deer protection, and keeping the weed competition low. If you can do those 3 things, you're going to have very high success, and those cuttings are really going to be able to take off, especially in the spring once it gets warm out. So I really appreciate you guys watching this week's video. Next week, we are heading down to Illinois for a very large install project. So I'm going to be running a GoPro and a couple other different videos. So I'm going to try to put that together hopefully within the next 2 weeks after that. But then next week's video is going to be where I actually lay down the fabric in our swamps, show you guys how I'm doing that. And then hopefully in 3 to 4 weeks, when I can finally get those cuttings in the ground, put the cages around them, and we're ready to rock. So I really appreciate you guys watching this week's video. Stay tuned for a couple more videos coming up. And like always, we'll see you in the next video.